final talk will be delivered by Acharya Jaishankar Narayanan ji, and he'll be speaking on the topic Nirviśeṣa Atma Nirūpaṇam in Śaṃkarāśaṃkara-Bhāṣya-Vimarśa. He'll be also speaking from the same text that we discussed. Just a brief introduction to the speaker. Acharya Jaishankar Narayanan ji is the student of Pujya Swami Dayananda Saraswati ji and has undergone a 3-year residential Vedanta course with Pujya Swami ji at Asha Vidya Gurukulam between 1995 to 1998. He is also an alumnus of IIT BHU Varanasi, and he had graduated as an engineer and was working in India and later in US as software engineer. There he met his guru, Pujya Swami Dayananda ji, at Silosburg, and then decided to study Vedanta under Pujya Swami ji. After completing his studies, he later settled in Chennai and has been teaching Vedanta and Sanskritam. And along with his Guru Bhai Kalyan Kumar ji, he is building a Gurukulam since 2010 as a tribute to his Guru. He, his wife, and Kalyan Kumar ji, they're together building this Arsha Vidya Varshini Gurukulam at Dakshinamurti Sarovar in Tirunelveli district. And at present, that Gurukulam contains a temple for Vallabha Mahaganapati, Sharadamba, and Adi Śaṃkarāśaṃkara-Bhāṣya, as well as Venugopal Swami and Narmadeshwara, and they plan to build a larger facility for more than 50 people to stay and study. He also conducts a lot of classes online, both and offline, on Samskrita, Vedanta, and chanting. Thank you, Acharya, for making time for this session. Please go ahead and start your session.
Namaste all. Sadashivasamarambham Śaṃkarāśaṃkara Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. So the previous speaker had already introduced us to Śaṃkarāśaṃkara-Bhāṣya-Vimarśa, the text. So in this text, Ramaraya Kavi is actually giving you all the reasons why we should accept Shankara Bhashya and reject all other commentaries and all other views, because Shankara Bhashya alone is in keeping with the Shruti, Yukti, Anubhava, all these things, okay, and it is also in keeping with, and it is not against any other pramana also. So in this context, particularly the author takes up the views of Ramanuja and even some commentators like Sudarshana Suri, who have commented on Ramanuja's Bhashya, and he tries to negate their views or show how their views are not based on Shruti or Pratyaksha or Anumana also, how it is against these pramanas. So the text itself is starts with you can say the first sutra, the Athato Brahma Jignasa. In that the Atha Shabda Vichara is done. In fact, before that, even what is the need for Uttara Mimamsa, correct? What is the difference between Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa? This also is talked about. And then even the Anubandha Chatushtaya for Brahma Sutras themselves, it is talked about, because in the Anubandha Chatushtaya, the Adhikari, who is the Adhikari, what is the Vishaya, all these things one has to discuss, and the Phalam, correct, and the Sambandha. Even these things are described differently by Ramanuja and Shankaracharya. So he takes up all these aspects and shows why what Shankara says is the correct description for Anubandha Chatushtaya. Then the Ataha Shabda is there, correct? Athato, the Ataha. Therefore. Therefore means because you have Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti, therefore only you can do the Brahma Jignasa, like that. That Brahma Jignasa pada also is then, the vichara is done. What is the meaning for Brahma Jignasa and how Brahma Jignasa can come, okay, based on the sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. For that, in fact, you don't require karma mimamsa and all that. So even by doing the swadhyaya itself, one can gain certain sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, and because of that one can have Brahma Jignasa, like that. The arguments are made, and then our Ramaraya Kavi also discusses the Atmanaha Sukhaswarupam. So even this, the Vishishtadvaitins do not accept Atma is Sukhaswarupa and it is untouched by any sorrow and all that, because according to them only Paramatma is Sukhaswarupa and Atma has all these dharmas of Sukha, Dukkha, etc. So even this point he takes up and shows beautifully that how that Atma is actually Sukha Swarupa and there is no difference between Atma and Paramatma like they talk about. And also the Atmasya Nityatva, the Nityatvam of Atma also he takes and he does Nirūpaṇam of that. So all these things are talked about first, and then before he goes any further, first he is trying to establish that Brahman is Nirviśeṣa. Why he takes it up importantly is because I think the Ramanuja and others, they do not accept a Nirviśeṣa Vastu itself. Can there be an entity without any qualities? This itself is a question, correct? Is it possible to have such an entity? Means Ramanuja and all, they come and say no, there cannot be any entity without any Vishesha, means qualities. Means everything is a qualified object only because qualities are there in every entity, every object. So this is what is first put up as the answer of the Purva Pakshi, that there cannot be any Nirviśeṣa Vastu. There is no entity without any qualities. All entities are only qualified entities. This is their position. Once they make a statement like this, then Ramaraya Kavi is actually, he goes into a kind of reasoning which is very interesting. So he first puts up a question to them now, because he is now asking, are you negating a Nirviśeṣa Vastu which is existing or which does not exist, he asks. So he cannot say I am negating an existing Vastu. That is contradictory, correct? You cannot negate an existing Vastu, because if it exists, then how can you negate it? But if you say I am negating a non-existing entity, then that negation itself is useless, because nobody needs to negate a non-existing entity like a hare's horn, let us say, Shashashringaha. So he asked a question like this, and in fact he leads them to a beautiful corner, I would say. So once he asks a question like this, they have to come back and say, we do not negate a Nirviśeṣa Vastu itself, we are only negating the Nirviśeṣatvam in Brahman. That's what the Purva Pakshi now says, that we are negating Nirviśeṣatvam in Brahman. Then once they say that, he asks the same question, whether you are negating a Nirviśeṣatvam which is existing in Brahman or which does not exist in Brahman. Again, he cannot say it exists, he has to say it is not existing. If he says he is negating a non-existing Nirviśeṣatvam in Brahman, then what is the necessity to even negate it? Once we say this, then what happens is, it's very interesting, then they have to come and say, now, are you not negating Dvaita? You claim that Dvaita is Bhranti Siddha. That means Dvaita is erroneous cognition, and you are negating like that. Similarly, we are saying that Savishesha Brahman is the reality, it is the truth. And Nirviśeṣatvam in Brahman is Bhranti, it is Bhranti Siddha. Therefore, we are also negating similar to how you are negating Dvaita. Once they say this, then the whole argument moves towards whether really Savishesha Brahman is Bhranti Siddha or Nirviśeṣa Brahman is Bhranti Siddha. So the argument goes there. So now their claim that Savishesha Brahman is Bhranti Siddha, correct? And Nirviśeṣa is, Savishesha is the truth and Nirviśeṣa is Bhranti Siddha. That is not correct. Okay, because we are only saying that Nirviśeṣam Brahma has this Nirviśeṣatvam and there is no contradiction in that, and whatever the Savishesha Brahma which you are talking about, that is only erroneous cognition. Like this, now we have to now establish what is erroneous cognition and all that. Okay. Now the Purvapakshi comes back and says that, see, even you are talking about Nirviśeṣam Brahma. If you are talking about Nirviśeṣam Brahma, but you are also accepting the Veda Vakya that Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, like that in Taittiriya Upanishad it is there, correct? The Swarupa Lakshana for Brahman is given as Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. So Brahman has Satyatvam, Anantatvam, like this, all these gunas or all these Visheshanas are there even for Brahman. So now how can you even talk about a Nirviśeṣam Brahma? This is their contention now. Okay, so we cannot even talk about a Nirviśeṣam Brahma because you also accept Satyatvadi Visheshana, Satyatvam, Nityatvam, like that. Satyatvam means something which exists, we can say. Nityatvam means something which is eternal. So all these Visheshas or qualities are there for Brahman. Once they say like this, now Ramaraya Kavi goes into a more fundamental analysis here. So he says that you are saying Savishesha entities alone are there, correct? Entities with qualities alone are there. Now let me ask you, these qualities are there in entities which have already qualities or which do not have qualities? Okay, this is the question he asked. So you say Vishesha, Savishesha Vastu alone is there. Now that Vishesha, are they there in a Savishesha Vastu or Nirviśeṣa Vastu? Now if they say the Visheshas are there in the Nirviśeṣa Vastu, then his Siddhanta itself will not stand, or it will be a contradiction, correct? It will be a contradiction to say that Visheshas are there in a Nirviśeṣa Vastu, or qualities are there in an entity which does not have any qualities or which cannot have any qualities. Now instead if they say no, the Visheshas are there in Savishesha Vastu only, in Savishesha entity only, then it is also a problem for them. Because now you have 2 times you are using Vishesha. Because the Savishesha entity or an entity with qualities is having qualities if you say. Now these 2 qualities are same qualities or different qualities, we have to ask. He cannot say those are the same qualities, then there will be something called an Atma-Acharya dosha will come, because you cannot locate something in itself. So Atma-Acharya dosha will be a problem if they say that the 2 qualities are same. So they have to say that those 2 qualities are different. If they say those 2 qualities are different, again you are having one entity with quality which is having quality. If you say that entity with quality, whatever quality it is having, is it there in a entity without qualities or with qualities? Again the question will come, correct? So again, if you repeat it like this, in fact I don't want to go into too much detail, but you can work it out. There will be anavastha will come. One dosha which can come is infinite regress, because you can keep on asking this question. Or you can even have doshas like circularity will come otherwise, because you can say that once you go to the 3rd level or something, you can say the 3rd quality is the same as the first one, means it becomes circularity will come. Or anyonya ashraya dosha also can come. So in fact, the actual explanation which some of the Vishishtadvaitins, particularly the Sudarshana Suri, who has written Shruta Prakashika, like that, a commentary on Ramanujacharya's Bhashya, they actually claim that what they say is that dharmi is a dharmi because of the dharma, and the dharma itself is a dharma because it is there in a dharmi. Like that, they are giving some convoluted logic. Okay, so the by the dharma only there is a dharmi, and by the dharmi only the dharma becomes a dharma. Like that, that is their siddhanta, you can say. So in this, what Ramaraya Kavi says is, you cannot even establish whether the Nityatwadi Visheshanas are there in Nirviśeṣa Brahman or Saviṣeṣa Brahma, because in both cases a lot of doshas are there. So how can you say that Saviṣeṣa Brahman is the truth and Nirviśeṣa Brahman is Bhranti Siddha? In fact, since you are not able to establish any Vishesha in any entity properly, or what kind of entity it is on which the Visheshas are there, that you are not able to establish, we have to say that Saviṣeṣa Brahman alone is Bhranti Siddha. That means an entity with qualities alone should be considered as erroneous cognition, and entity without any qualities, the Nirviśeṣa Brahman alone, has to be considered as something which is established in truth. So like this, he talks about this. In fact, he even goes one step further and says the Visheshas you are talking about, he goes on to that also. He says the Visheshas themselves are Saviṣeṣa or Nirviśeṣa. He wants to know, because the Ramanuja Siddhantins, they do not accept anything as Nirviśeṣa. They completely deny an existence of a Nirviśeṣa entity. So the Visheshas themselves are Saviṣeṣa or Nirviśeṣa. That question also he puts up. And the same problem comes there also, correct? If they say that Visheshas themselves are in Nirviśeṣa entity, or then they have a problem. Or if they again say it is also Vishesha itself is Saviṣeṣa, then also the same, all these same original problems like Anavastha, circularity, or Atma-Shraya dosha, all these things will come again. So these problems are there both with reference to the Visheshya and Vishesha. Both the Visheshya and the Vishesha, they are not able to establish it as Saviṣeṣa. So that's why they have to go into an Anyonya Acharya kind of a situation by saying that the dharmi itself is a dharmi because of the dharma, and the dharma itself is a dharma or a Saviṣeṣa dharma because of the dharmi. Like that, they are saying that they are mutually making each other Saviṣeṣa. This is what they are saying. But even, and also further they claim that there cannot be any entity which is neither a dharmi or a dharma. Like that, there cannot be any entity, you cannot even establish it through any pramana, is their claim. Now all these claims Ramaraya Kavi does not accept. Okay, he does not accept that, because he says that even the dharma you are talking about, which is making the dharmi a Saviṣeṣa, but then the dharmi, the word itself means that one which has dharma, correct? So then what about the dharma? Whether the dharma you are talking about which makes a dharmi into Saviṣeṣa, is it there in the dharmi already, or it is not there? Without being there in the dharma, by coming into contact only, it makes it into a Saviṣeṣa, or it is already there and it is the one because of which that the name dharmi itself comes. Then again, if you say no, it is already there, means then it is an Atma-Shraya dosha will come. If you say it is not there already, then you cannot really even use the word dharmi for that. But then even if you again say no, still I will use the word dharmi for that, then it is a problem. Okay. And even if you say the dharmi becomes a Saviṣeṣa because of another dharma, the same problems will come, like what we already discussed. So what he says finally is that when you analyze any entity which has either parts, whether it is a savayava, correct? Avayavatvam is there, let us say, or Visheshanatvam also is there. Qualities are there. You will finally only end up in a Nirviśeṣa vastu by analyzing anything you take. For example, if you take a white pot, now the whiteness itself is a Vishesha, But the part, in your understanding of part, let us say the partness, there is no white or anything, correct? Partness means we say that it is a particular shape, kambu grivadi akara and all we say, correct? It has like a neck and then it is having a bulging shape. That is the part. So even the guna like whiteness, etc., is actually there in an entity which does not have that vishesha. Further, even if you analyze the part itself, partness itself is there in, you have to say the mud and all that, correct? Because mritika ityeva satyam, Shruti also says that, because whatever is there really is only the mud. There is no part, or part and all is only namarupa, correct? If you touch the part, you are touching it. If you are weighing the part, you are weighing the clay. In fact, you cannot see a clay pot without cognizing the clay itself. So there is nothing separately called part. Whatever is there is really clay, and in clayness, really speaking, there is no partness or anything. In your understanding of clay, there is only clay. There is no partner. So even there we have to say that part itself is there in a non-part, which is clay. Then further, if we take the clay and the help of modern science and all that, we can keep on reducing it further, correct? We can say clay itself is nothing but some molecules, silica molecules and all that. And that itself is nothing but some atoms. And atoms themselves are nothing but some subatomic particles, proton, neutron, electron. Like that, you can go up to quarks and all that. Nowadays, they have this particle physics, etc. And even further, they also say that all these quantum systems have to be collapsed by an observer. So the nature of the observer is a problem for them. But we are, Vedantins are very clear about this observer. So if you analyze anything like this, a vishesha or a quality is there in an entity which does not have that quality. That's how it is. Finally, it is in fact all the visheshas are there only in this entity called Brahman. Brahman is the Nirviśeṣa Vastu in which all the visheshas are seen or perceived. So this is the truth. So this can be easily, we can analyze and arrive at this truth that the Sanmatra Vastu. In fact, Bellangunda Ramaraya Kavi uses the word Sanmatra Vastu, which is correct. Because everything is alone, we are cognizing everything as is, correct? Pot is, clay is, and then you can say molecules are, or molecule is, atom is, particle is. Now in all these things, is the invariable cognition? Understand that. This point beautifully Bhāṣyakara also brings in the Bhagavad Gita Bhashya for Nasato Vidyate Bhavaha, Nabhavo Vidyate Sataha, that he established that the Sadbuddhi alone it does not go away. It is the invariable. The Namarupa Buddhi can keep on changing, but Sadbuddhi is the invariable in each and every cognition, and that alone is the truth. And that Sadbuddhi Sanmatram, when we say, it doesn't have any qualities or anything. It is Nirviśeṣam Sadvastu. Nirviśeṣa Vastu alone is the truth. All the Visheshas we talk about, they are all coming and going, and they cannot be considered as real actually. So this he establishes very beautifully here. In fact, we have to say that even whatever they talk about dharma and dharmi, they basically say that they are mutually dependent. But any mutual dependence itself cannot be there by itself. Anything which is mutually dependent has to be based on something independent of them, an independent reality. And in fact, we have to accept that independent reality as this Nirviśeṣam Brahma. That's what is the point here. So in this manner, the Nirviśeṣam Brahma itself, he is establishing here, very important. And again, further, they are talking about this dharma and dharmi, correct? So now he asks one more question. You are talking about dharmatvam, dharmitvam, like this, all these visheshas. Are they there in an existing padartha or non-existent padartha? So your dharma and dharmi, they exist in an existing entity or non-existent entity. You cannot say that they are there in a non-existent entity. If you say that they are there in a non-existent entity, then it is as though saying that hair's on is the Acharya for dharmatva or some dharmitva. The hair's horn can have some qualities. The hair's horn is in fact white or it is red and all that. You cannot say all that. So like this, you cannot say it is abhava padartha, but then you have to say then it is a bhava padartha. So now, if you say that this dharmitvam and dharmatvam is there in the bhava vastu, an existing entity, but you are saying this bhava and this bhava vastu, which is Nirviśeṣa, can never be there. Okay. But even though we are showing you clearly that this dharma and dharmi themselves have to be there in a bhava vastu, and that bhava vastu itself cannot be already saviṣeṣa, but you are still claiming, the Vishishtadvaitins are still claiming that there cannot be any existent vastu at all without being a dharma or a dharmi. This is their claim. So since you are making a claim like this, we ask you again, are you saying that that after knowing such a vastu, or you are saying it without knowing that entity? You are saying there cannot be any Nirviśeṣa entity, correct? Are you saying that after knowing that Nirviśeṣa entity, or without even knowing it or being ignorant of it? No, if you say I know it, I say that there is no Nirviśeṣa entity after knowing about it, then your Siddhanta is again it goes against your Siddhanta. You cannot say that. So you have to say that I am saying it without knowing it. But then when we raise a question like this, and then we say, then how can we take the view of somebody who is an ignorant person? Okay, we cannot take the view of an ignorant person and accept that. Then they have to then say that no, we are saying this only after knowing that such an entity does not exist. Is their claim. No, they have to claim that. They cannot claim that I am saying it without knowing it. But if you say like this, then there is a problem, because any non-existence or abhava or absence has to have something called a pratiyogi and an anuyogi. So this, even the Nayayikas, they talk about it, and the most of the Dvaitins and Vishishtadvaitins, they all go along with the Nayayikas in all these matters. So if you say that there is no Nirviśeṣa vastu at all, then what is the pratiyogi for that? Because if you say this ghata abhava is there, ghata itself is the pratiyogi. Without knowing the ghata, you cannot say that the ghata is not there somewhere, correct? And you have to say where the ghata is not there also. That is the anuyogi. The locus is the anuyogi. The object of absence itself is the pratiyogi. Now you have to know the object of absence to even talk about absence of that particular object. So similarly, if you say that the Nirviśeṣa vastu is not there, then do you accept the Nirviśeṣa vastu as a pratiyogi? If you accept it as a pratiyogi, then you have to accept it that it is there, correct? So that is a problem. So without all this, you cannot simply say that there is no Nirviśeṣa vastu at all. So you have to base your statement on some pramana. What is the pramana for that? The pramana cannot be simply that because I say that you have to accept it, correct? Whatever I say you have to accept means it is only a paurushaya vakya. Any paurushaya means that which is from some person. Now any statement by some person, we cannot accept it, because any purusha statement can have defects. It can be erroneous cognition, or it may be cognized in a very not clearly, etc. Correct? There are so many defects we can say about paurushaya pratiti. So the cognition by a person can have many kinds of defects. These are also actually listed in the Shastras. So we cannot take that. Otherwise, you have to say, no, only the Vedanta pramana I am using. Veda is the pramana to say that there is no Nirviśeṣa vastu. But if you say that in fact the Veda has so many Vakyas which is actually revealing the Brahman as Nirviśeṣa only, correct? That also they cannot say. They cannot say that that the Veda is revealing or Veda is not revealing any Nirviśeṣa Vastu. Brahman itself is so many places it is revealed. It is explicitly said as Nirgunam, correct? Nishkriyam, all these things. And also all the guna, kriya, jati, etc. are negated in Brahman. Astulam, Ananuhu. Like this, if you take in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad and other Upanishads also, all these Vakyas are there, which is revealing this Nirviśeṣam Brahma. So you cannot say that Veda does not reveal this Nirviśeṣam Brahma, because Vedic statements are to be found. And you cannot also say that you are using inference for this purpose, because inference itself cannot stand on its leg. Tarka cannot be used as independent pramana or anything. It has to be based on either pratyaksha or shruti. So tarka should have a pratishtanam or a basis, and that basis can only be there in already in some perception or in shruti vakya. So in this manner, finally, what do they have to claim? They can say, no, pratyaksha is the pramana, because when we look at the world, all the entities have qualities. So since all the entities, the worldly entities have qualities, therefore we have to say that pratyaksha is the pramana to establish that everything is only savishesha, and I do not see any nirvišeṣa vastu. Like this they can say. But even in this, then Ramaraya Kavi puts a question there. Are you talking about vidvat pratyaksha or avidvat pratyaksha? Are you talking about the perception of wise people or unwise people? Okay. Because if you take this, even in Gita, Yanisha Sarva Bhutanam Tasyam Jagarti Sanyami and all, Bhagavan says, whatever is day for the avidwan is like night for the vidwan, and the other way around, correct? So here he asks this. Now they have to say, they cannot say avidvat pratyaksha here, because we cannot accept any anumana based on avidwan's perception. So they have to say, no, it is only vidwan's perception, means, but vidvat perception also does not go along with whatever you say. So many vidwans have explicitly claimed this Nirviśeṣam Brahma as their own Atma, and they have Vidvad Anubhava also only points to that. And finally, you cannot say even Shastras are the Pramana for this. In fact, Ramaraya Kavi even here quotes Bhagavata Vakyas and all he is quoting, because I think many of the Vaishnavas are very fond of Bhagavata. So he is trying to establish Advaita and Nirviśeṣa Vastu using Bhagavata itself here, which is very interesting. And he quotes from the 8th canto, 8th sarga, Savai mama ashesha maya nisheda nirvana sukhanubhutihi. Like this, mama sukhanubhuti. In fact, the Shastra itself is, or Vyasa also is talking about a vidvat anubhava only here. And what kind of vidvat anubhava? Ashesha maya nishedha. So all the Visheshas completely, which are all only Maya, correct? Which are all only there due to Maya, having negated all that, then I have this, I know myself as this Sukha Swarupa, I experience myself as this Sukhanubhava and Nirvana and all this, he talks about like this. So then this Ashesha Maya Nishedha. In fact, before this also, na gunaha, karma, na, like this and all also, the statement is there in the same Bhagavata Vakya. So this Bhagavata verse also, he gives to show that all the Visheshas have to be negated and one has to know one's Swarupa as Nirgunam, Brahma. And also the Upanishad Vakyas are there. Neti Neti Vakya also is there, which negates both Murtam and Amurtam, because Murta Brahmana is there even in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad before that. And in that, Brahman is talked about as both Murtam and Amurtam, or the cause of both. And finally, but it is negated, saying that Brahman is neither Murtam, means neither with everything with forms, nor Amurtam, nor that which is without forms, or you can even take it as that which is manifest and unmanifest, means that which is an effect which is manifest, and the unmanifest which is Amurtam is the cause or Karana. So because the Karya is Mithya, the Karanatvam of Brahman also is Mithya, therefore Brahman is neither Karyam nor Karanam. You have to negate all of that and understand Brahman as it is. So this is how the Brahman itself is revealed. In a negation, using negation only we have to reveal Brahman, because Brahman, if it has some qualities and all that, it can be easily revealed, correct? In fact, this itself is given as an argument also by Ramaraya Kavi. So, what he says is, if Brahman is Savishesha, then easily Shruti can describe Brahman as having all these Visheshas. And even words can be used easily to reveal such a Savishesha Vastu, Savishesha entity. And even mind also can objectify any Visheshana and know that. But Brahman is revealed as Neti Neti. Not only that, the Shruti itself is explicitly saying that Yato vacho nivartante apraapya manasa saha. So from where both words and mind return back, correct, without being able to objectify it, or the words cannot indicate it, because Brahman is not the meaning of any one word. It cannot be the meaning of any one word. And also mind itself cannot objectify it, because that by which mind itself is functioning as mind, that cannot be objectified by the mind. It is manasaha manaha, correct? Like even Kenopanishad says, Shrotrasya Shrotram, Manaso Manaha, Vachoha Vacham, Sau Pranasya Pranaha, like this, that which cannot be Yan Manasana Manute, Yenahur Mano Matam, all these Veda Vakyas are also there. So the Vedas themselves are revealing Brahman with so much difficulty, not as an object, and that which can never be objectified by either word or the mind. Why should it reveal all these things if it is Savishesha? Savishesha Brahman can be very easily revealed as this is how it is, correct? In fact, Veda says, Nedam edidam upasate. Correct? Explicitly, Veda says that this Brahman is not what you do upasana as this. Nedam edidam upasate. Okay, yet shrotrena na shrinoti yena shrotram idam shrutam tadeva brahmatvam vidhi nedam edidam upasate. Yen manasana manute yenahur manomatam tadeva brahmatvam vidhi nedam edidam upasate. All these ways, in this manner only, this Brahman itself is revealed as this Atma, which can never be objectified, okay, and which doesn't have any qualities or anything to be revealed. So, in fact, even in the Bhagavata, again he quotes this Bhagavata itself to show that for Nirviśeṣa Brahman, there is a pramana. Even in Bhagavata, of course, in the Shruti it is there, but he has a fondness for Bhagavata, like I said. So he says, Nisheda Sheshaha Jayatat Asheshaha, like this. Also, it is quoted. So that which is there after all the Visheshanas are negated, and that is its glory, in fact, Jayatat. That glorious Brahman, it is Asheshaha, means what? That itself can never be negated. It is always, the negator can never be negated. So that is why it is called Nisheda Avadhi, means it is the limit of all negations. Beyond that, you can negate everything, the entire objective world, but the negator can never be negated. That is the limit of all negations. That negator Swarupa is Brahman really. That's why it is also called, it doesn't have any Nayam Gunaha, Karma. All this also is said in the same Bhagavata, like I said. So, the Brahman is revealed as Nirgunam only by the Shrutis, and Shruti is taking so much effort to reveal this Nirgunam Brahma. If it is Savishesha, it can be very easily revealed through words and all that. Okay. So like this, it is established. But then, even now, the Purvapakshi doesn't accept. He says, now, what is the pramana for you to say that this Brahman is Nirviśeṣa? Okay, because we say that the Satyatvadi Visheshas are there. Even they make an interesting argument. They say that only the Maya Maya Visheshas are negated by the Bhagavata also. You yourself said Maya Maya, but not the Swabhavika Visheshana. So now they make a distinction. They say that Maya Maya Visheshas can be negated, but there are Swabhavika Visheshas like Satyam Jnanam Anantam and all. When you say Satyatvam, Nityatvam are all Swabhavika Visheshas that cannot be negated. So now once they say like this, now our Bellangunda Ramaraya Kavi, as now he brings in another aspect to this. He asks, you say that Satyatvadi Visheshanas are Swabhavika. Okay. Now these Visheshas are normally any Vishesha is given as a Vyavartaka, correct? So are these Visheshas given as a Vyavartaka or not? He asks. Because Vyavartakaha means that which differentiates one entity from everything else. Because normally when we use any quality, the qualities themselves, in fact, even there is a discussion about Sadharana Dharma and Asadharana Dharma and also in the Shastras. Like white and all that is Sadharana Dharma. White as a guna can be there anywhere. But if you want to give a lakshana or a definition for a particular entity, you have to use Asadharana Dharma, means what? A unique combination of qualities or a unique quality which is not found anywhere else, which will differentiate this from everything else, correct? For example, Gotvam means we say Sasanadimatvam is Gotvam. Sasana means the dewlap which is there in the cow. That which has a dewlap alone is the cow. Like this we give a definition because that is a unique quality which can differentiate the cow from everything else. It is a Vyavartaka. Now when you talk about this Swabhavika Visheshana in Brahman, they are Vyavartaka or not, and all these Vyavartaka Visheshanas are they are Paramarthika or Vyavaharika. Like this also he asked the question, because the Paramarthika Brahman is Nirviśeṣa Brahman. In reality, Brahman is Nirviśeṣa only. That's how the Shruti and Bhagavata etc. are revealing that. And therefore it cannot have any Visheshanas like Satyatvam etc. If you say it is Vyavaharika, then it is Ishta for us. It is desirous for us. We also accept that Brahman is Savishesha in Vyavahara, and in fact we use all these Visheshas to actually differentiate and reveal the Brahman itself. But in reality, in Paramarthika Drishti, Brahman cannot have any Visheshas. So I think maybe most probably the time is up. But there are some more arguments are all there. In fact, Bellangonda goes on and actually establishes the Nirviśeṣatvam using Pratyaksha, Anumana and Shruti also. In fact, for Pratyaksha he says Sushupti and Samadhi, Anubhava and all is actually a pramana for Pratyaksha pramana. And Anumana also he gives certain Anumana. And of course Shruti is there. N number of Shrutis we can quote. There are a lot of Shruti Vakyas which are revealing Brahman as Nirviśeṣa. So in this way, he first establishes that Brahman and Atman, these are all Nirviśeṣa Vastu, and there is a Nirviśeṣa Vastu really, and Savishesha and all is there only in the Vyavaharika Dasha. This is an important part of this, I think, and the way he leads the arguments and all is very beautiful. So anybody can read this. As the previous speaker said, the Sanskritam also is very simple in Ramaraya Kavi's works. It's not a very complicated Sanskritam. Anybody who has some basic Sanskrita knowledge can read that and get the flow of the argument, and how sound his arguments are also, we can appreciate that. Yeah. Om Tat Sat.
Thank you, Acharya, for a very elaborate and comprehensive analysis. I understand the topic itself is such that the time itself was very short for that. But thank you very much for taking a very important topic and giving a very insightful and very fascinating perspective. Thank you very much.
Oh.
Yes, as we come to a conclusion of today's symposium. It gives me great pleasure that we have been able to do this program. We have been able to cover not in depth, but as a taste, give a taste for your rasa anubhava, I would say perhaps, of the works of Ramaraya Kavi. We covered many texts in today's session, starting from Advaita Amrutam to Advaita Vijaya to Bhāṣyarka Prakasha to Vedanta Muktavali, Vedanta Sangraha to Sharirika Chatussutri Vichara, and finally to Śaṃkarāśaṃkara-Bhāṣya-Vimarśa. These are by no means the entirety of his works. I think at least 40 plus works are available, though he is supposed to have written more than 150 works, I think. And but nevertheless, we have been trying to make people familiarize with the works of great acharyas of Advaita tradition. And I hope this inspires many to take up study of Ramaraya Kavi's works in more depth. I'm this is I'm very happy to have this opportunity to curate this symposium. So with these comments, I thank all the acharyas, all the vidwans that who participated in the program, all the viewers who have been with us since morning watching this program, and who will be watching when we will be uploading it on YouTube in a few weeks' time. And I thank my team and I thank everyone for supporting and making this symposium a success. Thank you very much. With this, we conclude the session. Shri Guru Bhyo.